Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to show you this to start. This is talking about taxes, U.S. To tax all crypto transactions, including NFTs and stable coins. And we also know that the IRS hired all kinds of agents. These people are going to be coming to, if there's any significant money being made in crypto, they're going to be coming to talk to people. So this is Clinton Donnelly. He's one of my sponsors. He was at the Litecoin Summit. He's making his rounds. He has an Audit Defense monthly membership. The link to this will be in the top of the description of this video. You can either pay for the year or you can pay monthly, but this guy is on top of it. He specializes in crypto taxes. So if you're looking for anything like that, go give him a look. Now, I was watching this video by the BIS. Remember, the BIS is the central bank of central banks.
The BIS Triennial Central Bank Survey is the most comprehensive source of information on the size and structure of global foreign exchange and over-the-counter derivatives markets. Central banks from 52 jurisdictions participated in the latest survey, which took place in April 2022, collecting data from more than 1,200 banks and other dealers. And what picture emerges from this data?
Trading in FX markets rose to $7.5 trillion per day in April 2022 from $6.6 trillion 3 years earlier.
All right. Anyway, I was watching that and I had a flashback, and I wanted to share it with some of you out there who were not around when this was going on. But first, before I show you, I wanted to show you this. Remember, Dilip Rao left Ripple, and he's in, my understanding is that he's in, well, there it is, Sydney, Australia, okay? And recently we were talking about how Dilip Rao was over in Australia, and how Australia was working on their CBDC pilot, and I believe I read that he's actually involved in it. And remember, people from Ripple do not become unemployed, they become deployed. There's a big difference. Okay, so against the backdrop of that, and when I was watching this BIS talking about FX, the FX, when they started talking FX, I had a flashback. A few years back, there was this lady, very smart lady. She was an ex-banker, and she went by, what did she go by? Esoteric Trading Solutions or something like that. She has her own business, and one of the things she always says, be kind to people, be kind to people and be kind to your animals. And I remember talking to my father, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, about how smart she was. But this is a clip from probably her most famous video, which is this one right here. You can go to YouTube. It's called XRP Valuation, $334.47 USD per 1 XRP. Here's a clip from it I want you to see. This and some of this is not, she's talking about RippleNet. Some of this is not, Ripple, some of Ripple's products have changed their names and all, but she was a very smart lady. And if you can go check her out, I think she goes by Crypto Granny now on YouTube. Go check this out.
And we make these following assumptions. Ripple has 100 billion cryptocurrency coins on issue. We assume for simplicity that they don't burn those coins, okay? Even though we know they do. We know that Ripple will burn their coins, and the burn rate as time goes on, because the usage will be more, will probably get higher and higher. But just for simplicity, I've made the following assumptions. That essentially the burn, we know there's no burn rate. We're using the total issuance rather than the circulating issuance of 100 bill. And also, essentially, I've only assumed a 10% take-up of their ex-current, and I've used the interest rate swap curve, the US interest rate swap curve, which the banks use as their cost of funding curve, which has an implied credit rating of AA. So if a bank has a credit rating less than AA, then that that swap curve should be high. There should be margin in that. But for simplicity, I've just used a AA swap rate curve and haven't really added too much margin in that for the cost of credit. Because, Ripple may not have a AA credit rating. It may have something less than that. So if we assume that the net present value of their cash flows is 12.49 trillion over 100 bill, I'm actually saying in the first year, one XRP should be $124 or $125. If we assume that the cash flows with a very simple valuation model using the discounted cash flow or the net present value is 33.4 trillion over 2 years, then 34 trillion over 100 bill puts one XRP at 334. And again, if we do the same over a 3-year period, we're looking at $892. So, and this is assuming only that X current is taken up and only 10% of X current is taken up globally. And I believe more will be taken up absolutely. So that's sort of the valuation I'm looking at. And don't forget, Bitcoin took forever to move from 80 cents to $1 to 2,000, whatever. It took a long, long time. Bitcoins, came out in 2008, and it didn't really get traction until probably about 2016. So it took at least 8 years. Now, I believe Ripple will get traction much quicker, and XRP will get very fast traction once the take-up of X current becomes more and more. Even just the take-up of X current will put Ripple in a valuation at that level, as I've said.
It's kind of interesting what she said there at the end, because nobody, including myself or her, could have known all of the shenanigans that would have gone into motion to stop Ripple from achieving what she said. And what's interesting is Jimmy Valley has referenced damages in all this before. And I believe the numbers that you're watching her throw around there, do those numbers, because I believe that's what the real damages are of what's been done, of what Gary Gensler continues to do. And I believe that there's no telling what kind of lawsuits could fly from Ripple to all sorts of people and companies and government entities if they're not led out of this in a favorable way for Ripple. I can't even imagine. Now, this is something that's kind of blew my mind yesterday and today. This is CoinDesk. FTX is working on a stable coin, according to SBF FTX, who was interviewed by the big whale. Now, I don't know anything. I'm going to preface this by saying I don't know anything bad about FTX at all. The only thing I know about FTX is that I had never heard of them. Then all of a sudden, Tom Brady's advertising them, and then everybody's heard of them. And I've been here since 2013. But I don't know what's going on, but BitBoy is furious over these guys, and he says this and even said more.
Hey, a lot of people are saying FTX is what dumped that. FTX was the #1 investor in Aptos, from what I understand, and big surprise, they dumped everything. Let me tell you, by the time I'm done with FTX, it's going to be closed down. You guys get ready for it. If you think I'm kidding about that, I am not. I have so much information about literal conspiracy, wrongdoing, telling people to delete evidence, so much evidence of them using their exchange to short projects to death with internal inside information. I'm telling you, by the time I'm done with FTX, they're going to get shut down. You might as well go close your account now.
That's some pretty bold talk. He even said that the CEO over there at FTX could go to jail. I was like, what? Now, I asked him a question. I said, any evidence of where anybody shorted XRP, not necessarily FTX, but anybody? And he replied and he said, we can look into it 100%. So that's interesting. But then he says this: one man wants to control the entire space. Going to be hard for him to control it from prison, because that's where he is heading. Again, these are not my words. These are his words. I'm just showing you what he said. He's going to have to have me killed to shut me up. The evidence is overwhelming. This man is an absolute, I mean, the things that are being said here is like unbelievable. I'm like, what? And I don't know anything about it. I'm just showing you what's going on. It's like, whoa. Then Eleanor Terrett comes in and says, Scoop, DeFi advocates are holding meetings with SBF and Senate Ag Dems to make constructive changes to language pertaining to DeFi and DCCPA bill. People with knowledge of the meetings tell me they're optimistic about 4 to 5 sentences away from having a good bill. Adding to this, one lobbyist tells me she's questioning the chances of this passing this year, saying if Senate banking HFSC House Ag just take the bill that was negotiated, they are not fulfilling their jobs as lawmakers, And then Eleanor Terrett, who's on the job, new GOP leaders, Patrick McHenry and Bill Huizenga, have sent a letter to Representative Maxine Waters demanding she convene a hearing with Gary Gensler in front of the Finance Committee next month. The recently announced technical errors and workforce issues at the SEC, on top of the rushed, sweeping rulemakings, insufficient comment periods, and regulation by enforcement in the digital asset space, necessitate the committee's attention now more than ever. And here's what's cool. John Deaton jumps in and he says, I volunteer to testify right next to the good chairman. Maybe the committee would like to hear now 75,000 retail holders of an asset that the GAO called a virtual currency in a decentralized payment system 8 years ago are being victimized by his unconstitutional overreach. Check this out. World's largest Bitcoin miner, Core Scientific, said it won't make payments due in the next few days and may run out of cash before the end of the year. Uh-oh. And then there's this. I've told you before, I think Starlink has nodes on those satellites. Listen to this from the Hedera Hashgraph founder.
For example, Starlink.
Isn't Starlink cool? SpaceX is just doing amazing things right now. Yes, you could talk about putting it into a satellite because it's low power and because satellites are going to have high bandwidth, especially if, I don't know, Starlink may even help other satellite companies get bandwidth to their satellites. I don't even know how that's going to work. Yes, you could absolutely do that. You could also use things like Starlink to have a node in Antarctica someday or whatever. All those would be possible. Sounds pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Sounds pretty possible. Then this, just in, Google launches blockchain node hosting service with support for Ethereum. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that there are literally potential trillions, if not quadrillions, in damages in the SEC Ripple suit. Thanks for listening, because it was